Hello, my name is Chris St. Germain. I'm with Clearwater County Economic Development in Idaho. We're going to talk about broadband basics, some broadband tools for business, and touch on cybersecurity today. The project is being brought to you by a USDA Rural Business Development Grant and the Orofino Rotary community. In this short presentation, we're going to go over some technical information and a lot of jargon. And the reason that we're going to do this is to help you become better informed citizens in relationship to internet connectivity. Making an informed decision is critical, whether you're a family or whether you're running a business, on your services that support what your communications connectivity. Have you had the experience where you get your coffee in the morning, you sit down to the internet, you want to load up the morning newspaper, and it's so slow, it times out, and you can't read the daily news? So, the tools and information that we're going to provide you today will help you talk to service providers, be aware of bandwidth needs that you have that will meet the demands to benefit you and your lifestyle. But it's all to help you be in a better place to negotiate a better service, a better bang for your buck as you look at internet service options in your community. So broadband, what does it really mean? Well, it's a definition. It's a definition given by the Federal Communications Commission to the amount of speed that data travels across the internet, from your home or user place out to the cloud, to the place that you're asking information about, and back to you. It's measured in kilobits a second, megabits a second, or gigabits a second. And the best way that I can describe to you is to think about it is that a kilobit per second would be like sucking through a straw on a milkshake. And then running water through a garden hose would be a megabit amount. And a gigabit would be what you would see in a water main that delivers water to your home. What we want is, we want to know how much capacity do I have to move data in that straw that goes from the water main delivery system in my community out to my street or my neighborhood and then into my home. So do I have a straw? Do I have a garden hose? Or am I literally serviced by a water main? In a wireless situation, it's important because if the size of the bandwidth, or that water main, coming from the cloud to the tower to distribute to multiple homes is not enough to deliver more than a very small stirring straw to each home, then the service to those homes is not going to be satisfactory once you start doing things like streaming or uploading a lot of photos, or perhaps a home-based business uploading some engineering documents. The information that moves on a fiber is the same as on a wireless situation. It all depends on what your service plan is and the amount of bandwidth that's being delivered to you, the amount of bandwidth that the service provider has from its point of presence or wireless communications hut out to the cloud and back, that will maintain the best connectivity levels and movement of data or flow of water to satisfy your needs on the internet. So in trying to figure out how much connectivity you need in your home, you need to think about what your uses of the internet are, how many devices you have that are going to be on the internet at any one time. If you're streaming video, you're going to need a lot more data bandwidth than if you're just doing emails. If you're doing telelearning or telemedicine in your home, if you're in a home-based business and you're having to move architectural or engineering plans back and forth on the internet. If you are a grandma and you have 5 grandchildren and they all come with their devices or with their online games, they are going to want more bandwidth than just your connectivity needs for communicating with them via Facebook or email. So we think about the amount of download speed available or the amount of upload speed available based on the uses that we propose that we're going to have in the home, and we package our service plan to our service provider requests, thinking about making informed decisions. So to help us make informed decisions, the Federal Communications Commission has devised and recommended to service providers that they use a broadband nutrition label. and it's modeled after the same nutrition label that we're used to using in the grocery store. The products, services, and components of the internet service that we are considering buying are laid out in this broadband fact label. We'll go over a few important components with you. Packet loss is when literally clumps of data are dropped out and you lose them. Well, if you're on a video conference or a telemedicine experience or an important business meeting online, you don't want to lose bits of data. If you're making a phone call using voice over internet protocol, you don't want your phone conversation to be cut out. So understanding the value of packet loss and having that conversation with your provider is really important, especially when you're in the wireless realm or in the satellite realm. Because if you think about it, the opportunity for interruption in a wireless or a satellite where the signal has to leave your home, go to a receiver station, up into space, come back down through that receiver station to someone else, there are lots of opportunities for interruption. And so packet loss is something that you want to ask your providers about. Data allowance. How much data are they going to let you have? Are they limiting the amount of data that you have? So not only do you want to know how much upload and download bandwidth, or remember that flow of water through the pipes, but you want to know, are they going to give you only a 5-gallon bucket of water to use in a month? Or do you have the ability to use that data on an ongoing basis without having any limitation to a 5-gallon bucket or a bathtub size amount of data? You'll often see data allowances in plans related to your mobile phone. We're all using our mobile phones as computers more and more. And you will often find that on that mobile phone plan, there will be limits in the total amount of data that you'll be allowed to use. Satellite service also, just because of the limited capacity of moving data out into space and coming back down, satellite plans often limit data. And what you need to know about data limitations is that when you reach that maximum, they will often chop you off at the knees and you are looking at bandwidth deliveries in the kilobits or moving data through those little stirring straws. So it just slows everything down until the next month comes up and then you reach your data cap again. So be very cognizant and aware of data allowances that your service provider may put on you. Performance. What are the upload and download speeds? We've talked about that in relationship to video conferencing, telemedicine, moving files, large files to and from the internet. Your upload speed is the time that it takes and the data to move from your computer up to the internet and to its location. Download speeds are from the internet down to your computer. Latency. Latency is measured in milliseconds, so really small amounts of time. But it's the amount of time that it takes for information from your computer to get out to that internet cloud space and then get back down to your computer. So if you think about packet loss and latency, those are interruptions to the flow of information. If you're an avid gamer, latency will drive you nuts, because you will push your little buttons and nothing will happen for milliseconds, which in some gaming situations could be life and death. Latency for video conferencing, telemedicine applications, where you're wanting to have a normal and regular conversation with someone, can also be a factor that'll drive you nuts. So evaluate the latency in your plan options. Okay, so we've talked about how to evaluate the nutrition label or the service packages that are available by your providers. But if you have a provider now and you don't know what you are getting now, then we have a tool that can help you evaluate that. We recommend the measurement labs because it's an open data source site. So what that means is that the data can be made available to researchers, developers, and service providers that are looking at certain areas so that they can either say, there's a lot of demand and not a lot of speed delivery in this area, so we want to enhance capacity. Or a community itself could say to providers, we're not being served adequately. Look at these average speeds that we have. What can you do to help us upgrade our capacity so that we have better internet connectivity in our community. The Measurement Labs test is very simple to follow. When you go onto their website, you'll see a button that says Start Test. Simple as that. Click the button. You'll see a couple of speedometer looking like devices pop up, and the arms will go back and forth, and you will get a measurement of both your upload and download speed. It will provide to you your test results. So if you write those down, then you have documentation that you can use in talking to your provider or other providers that you may be able to get a better deal from. How do you know who the providers are that bring service to your space? Well, the Federal Communications Commission has a tool and a national broadband map that they manage that you can put your address in. Online, you go to www.broadbandmap.gov. You add your address and click Find Broadband. For the address that I entered in Orofino, Idaho, the results indicate that I have 5 providers that can deliver anywhere from 3 to 50 megabits a second to my location. So depending on my use and my demand, based on the number of devices that I use and the tools and the reasons why I want to be connected to the internet, I can have a number of options to choose from and make contacts to those providers, use the nutrition label concept and evaluate the important factors like data allowance, performance both up and downstream, latency, and packet loss, and evaluate who's going to give me the best bang for my buck in internet service. So for additional information and resources, the Federal Communications Commission has a lot of information on internet connectivity, the broadband nutrition label, and fast facts. In addition, the U.S. Department of Commerce, National Telecommunications and Information Administration has planning tools for communities that are looking at enhancing their broadband capabilities. And lastly, but certainly not least, you should communicate and let your issues and frustrations be known to your local economic development group, because I'm sure that they would be more than happy to help guide you in the direction to find information and resources to help bolster connectivity in your community.